Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Emily Coriath. I'm your music director here at the UU Church of Boulder, and it is so good to see you. Can't hear me. Michael, oh no. Now it's okay. Now you can hear me. Okay. I'll give you a hint. It's easier when there's less talking in the room. But I know we're excited to be in this room together in a new format. Some of you have been to the 9 o'clock service numerous times, and some of you haven't experienced what worship in this space is like. So we're very, very glad you're here. We'll tell you more about service logistics as we get started, but the first thing we do is sing together. So you may rise in body or in spirit, or stay in your chair if that feels right to you at this moment. If you were at the service last week, you have a sneak preview of what we're going to sing. We started the service last week with this one as well. What we need is here. What we need is here. Repeat that. What we need is here. 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 Make up a part if you want. What we need is here. 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 Is here. What we need is here. What we need is here. What we need is here. One more time. What we need is here. What we need is here. Fantastic. We've got another one. I'm going to turn it over to Sam. I know we don't normally do this. I know. You showed your hand, regular 9 o'clockers. They're like, song is over, we are done. Special, extra singing, always good. Sam?
Hi there. For those who aren't regulars at the 9 a.m. service, I co-lead the songs with Emily and feel very blessed to do so. And let's sing some All Is Well. All is well, 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 all all is well. 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 Last time. All is well. All is well. All is well. All is well.
My name is Rachel Alba, and I am the Director of Religious Education here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. And I feel like this past week, if you were in this building Monday through Friday, you experienced one of the things that I love most about this congregation. We had the 8th and 9th grade Our Whole Lives program occurring down the hallway and in the sanctuary. And then simultaneously, David and Emily were running a preaching workshop for some adults. And if you volunteered to help with OWL and you were a facilitator, can you raise your hand? And then keep it raised. Great. If you volunteered to help with OWL and you helped out, keep your hands raised, Betsy and Dan. And then if you helped out with OWL and you were helping out with lunch so that the facilitators could chill out and not do anything. Awesome. We actually had 11 people total, so we're missing some people. If you were at the preaching workshop, can you raise your hand? Oh, Jim's there too. Awesome. Look at that. There were so many people. You guys had how many people in your workshop? 9. They had 9. We had 8 youth. We had 5 facilitators as adults. You can put your hands down now. Thanks. And then we had at least 2 people during lunch every day. So you can sort of do the math and figure out what that was. And Alan Davis was there every day at lunch, which was so helpful. And I even had some volunteers like Amy who offered to help, and then we didn't need her. So it was incredible to see not only the amount of support for different programs and the amount of interest in being a part of this community in a really big way. Those people at the worship workshop are learning how to be the people who, when we have lay-led worship, are actually doing the preaching and the speaking and really doing that with such robust skill sets. And similarly, with the OWL program, it's we're all just learning how to be in our bodies a little bit better. And I wanted to share with you, our main rule for Our Whole Lives was to take care of your body at any moment. And so I encourage you to do that in this space this morning, but your primary job is to take care of your body. So if you use the bathroom, you want to get some water, you want to sneak into the kitchen and grab a cup of coffee, feel free. This gathering is an active spiritual practice, and this particular gathering that we're doing in this room is what we do at the 9 a.m. service throughout the year. So it's a Wellspring service. It's more of a singing circle. It feels more meditative to me, at least. And I feel like it's really grounding. It really centers you and puts you, your feet are really on the ground when you leave this space. And there's great, beautiful, intimate sharing that happens during our Blessings and Concerns ritual that's slightly different than what we do at the 11 o'clock. This gathering is an active spiritual practice. Each week, we gather in community to recommit to the things which are most important in our living. It is a serious task done joyfully and intentionally. It is a time for our essential work as human beings, a time to return to the wells from which we draw meaning and sustenance. This is a singing practice. Whether or not you think of yourself as a singer, you are invited to join in, to learn the music, to hum along, to stick with the lead, or to try a harmony, even if your harmony is more creative than what we usually hear. I encourage you to do what my storytelling teacher in college used to tell us to do, which is do kindergarten singing, which is where you start out and you sing before you know the words or the tune. Mm-hmm. This is an open and invitational practice. You belong here today, even in the extreme conditions of our world, especially if your heart or spirit feels dormant. There is hearing assistance in a basket. I think that's on like when you walk in, there's an entrance sort of thing with all those papers on it. There's hearing assistance, listening devices on there. We also have nursery care today, so if little kids are welcome to hang out in here, but if you want them to go to the nursery, we have nursery care. And then finally, after the service, we'll be offering our class on how to really get involved in UUCB, which is Finding Yourself at U Church of Boulder is the name of the class. And David and Irene will be leading that, and we'll be talking about just what are we all about here, what do we stand for, and how you might be able to fit yourself in more fully into the community. And with that, would someone like to help me light the chalice? Great, Eleanor. You are like the best with these matches. So.
I can adjust that a little bit. Will you take a breath with me? And again, but slower. This time actually a sigh. Just let it out. We did this a few weeks ago, and Hilton Fitpeister sent me an article on the medical benefits of sighing. Can't quote them to you, but I trust they are real. Who of you, I'm thinking of growing kids and adults too, has to go through your clothes sometimes to see what fits, what doesn't fit, what you like, what's worn out? This is not a thing that you do. Someone else is doing this for you, probably. How do you decide what to keep and what to get rid of when you go through your clothes? What fits and what doesn't, right? What I haven't worn in a while, something's been in the back of your closet for a year. Say, this is not a thing that is going on my body. What else? How do you decide what to keep? What colors speak to you? This is as like vibrantly dressed as I ever am. And I have so much love and respect for the people who actually dress in vibrant colors. What colors speak to you? Yeah, what else? What's worn out? Yeah, what's worn out? Can anybody else see the stain? Yeah, exactly. What else? What makes me feel good? Yeah. It's good to wear clothes that you feel good in. Yeah.
What do I see in the mirror?
What do I see in the mirror? That's deep. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good invitation. All right, tell me about what's left in the closet when you're done doing all this and you have the clothes. What's left in your closet after all of that?
Well, if I haven't gone through it in a while, only 10 things.
Yes. If you haven't done this in a while, there may be radically fewer things left in the closet when you're done. Yeah. Beloved old things. Beloved old things. I have in the back of my closet a sheepskin jacket that belonged to a great uncle that in fact has not fit me since my early 20s, but it is beloved. It's beloved. Maybe someday it'll fit some other member of my family. What else? What else is left? Things you would enjoy wearing again. Again, for sure. So, the analogy here, the connection, is not just the clothes that you wear, but the things that you believe, your religious ideas, what you believe about yourself and the universe, about people around you, about what's most important, and about what you need to do as people, what we owe to each other. They're a little bit like the clothes in our closet, and from time to time, you gotta go in to that closet full of ideas and beliefs and say, all right, which of these stay and which of these need to go? Which of these are beloved things that I have believed for a long time and want to keep there? And which of these are things that I want to give away? What's wearing a little thin? What gives me joy when I put it on? When I look in the mirror with this thing that I believe, what do I see? Do I like the person who looks back at me? We want our beliefs to reflect who we are and what we're about on the inside, so we keep the ones that still fit, and maybe we mend the ones that are getting a little threadbare. Like our clothes, we want our beliefs to change with us a little bit as we grow. What you wore or how you talked about the things that are most important to you years ago may not be how you do now. And that doesn't mean that something's gone wrong. It means that always we are in process and always we are unfinished, just like your wardrobe.
This is a game we play every 9 a.m. service also. The microphone stand game. Would someone like to help light the RE chalice from the regular chalice? Eleanor, since you already did something, Clara, would you be willing to do that for me? Maybe? Thanks. You can just take the candle and then stick it in the flame. And that just shows us all that really the chalice that we bring to the religious education classroom, we're all lighting the same thing. It's part of the same service. What we're doing in that room is essentially the same thing that you all are doing in here, except instead of listening to a sermon, we're doing things that are more age relevant. Emily always sings us out for this process, and so we're going to sing with her a few verses of this, or a few repetitions of this song, and then we will carry our chalice out, and the religious education people will walk out together.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. There's a second part. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Holy breath, holy breath, and holy name. Will you ease? Will you ease? Will you ease this pain? One more time. Holy breath, holy and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Loosen, 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 baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. You sing loosen, loosen. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? Sing whichever part you like the best. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? One more time. Holy breath and holy name. Will you ease this pain? What if you really didn't have to carry the weight of the world by yourself? What could you let go of, maybe even just for this moment? Where is that heaviness living in your body? We'll take a few breaths here together. If you feel safe enough to close your eyes, you might consider that, or a soft focus, maybe looking at the floor or just the back of the chair in front of you, just to bring your attention inward. You made it. You're here. And we are so glad that you are. No matter what you brought with you when you came in this morning, we're so glad that you're here. I found a beautiful prayer by the Reverend Leslie Takahashi that I'd love to share in this moment. There's nothing for you to do or change. Just breathe. Feel your body contacting your chair. Notice your breath moving in and out, sustaining you. Reverend Takahashi writes, "Walk the maze within your heart. Guide your steps into its questioning curves. This labyrinth is a puzzle, leading you deeper into your own truths. Listen in the twists and turns. Listen in the openness within all searching. Listen. A wisdom within you calls to a wisdom beyond you. And in that dialogue lies peace. Listen for the wisdom that lies beyond you. Never more than a breath away.
Our commitment to connect bravely with one another means that we're called to be glad with those who rejoice and to weep with those who mourn, not just to notice this going on around us, but to participate in it. It's a heart practice, an empathy practice, a compassion practice. So we set aside this time in the service each week to share the joys and the sorrows that are shaping our lives. If you feel moved, I invite you to come forward and take a stone and place it in the earth to symbolize your cares, how they take their place in a larger community, this interior landscape made visible in front of all of us. And place a stone in silence or say just a few words aloud of what that is for you. And we'll all respond without trying to be in unison. We'll all respond. We are with you. And mean it. Please come forward as you feel moved.
I'm placing this stone in gratitude for being with the other UEC peers down at Hopi Navajo, and concern for an elder who's been without water for 2 years. This is for my cousin Ricky Ross. He passed away recently. This is for our grandkids' transition.
Although Diane remains weak, she is now cancer-free.
Oh, we are with you.
Placing a stone for Pride Month and all of the love that I'm surrounded by.
We are with you.
I'm placing this for my twin brother who is coming to visit this week, who I haven't seen in over a year.
We are with you.
Sadly, I'm placing this stone for my daughter's best friend, Ian Ferris, who lives in North Carolina. He taught music for 17 years, and he taught music longer than that, but he played for a conservative Christian church, and he heard he was gay and he couldn't admit it, and he passed away February 22nd at 46 years of age. Ian, we love you and we miss you. I'm sorry, Ian. Thank you.
This is for my nephew, Patrick, who is struggling with cancer and some other serious medical issues and a lot of mental health issues that go along with that.
This stone is in gratitude for my husband, Tom, who I hit the 70 mark this week, and Tom managed to pull off a totally gobsmacking
thinking about my friend Farah, who is in this country without documentation and has turned 80 and is beginning to experience health problems and is in a little bit of a panic about how to pay for anything.
Just many things. I'm so grateful for this community and all of you. I'm concerned for my sister Tina, who has MS and is very far along, has a lot of dementia involved with it, and now she's got COVID. And I just love how the church is thriving, and I thank Wayne for being someone new this morning who came and just sat by me. He's new, but came and introduced himself.
Yeah.
Make me feel welcome.
Yeah, with you. I thought of one and then I thought of a bunch more. This is for my friend Laura Webb, who died last week at 40. She had ALS. Her faith was unshakable, and her last words apparently were, wow, wow, wow. And this is for my friend Barb, our friend Barb, and her continued healing, and her beloved Fred, her partner in care. It's a lot of work to have surgery and heal, and just praying for both of them as they go through this together.
Yesterday, we had a memorial and a celebration of life here for Lisa Larson, who died unexpectedly last week, who was a long, long time Unitarian Universalist, and I didn't know her while she was alive, but she's the sort of person who was just ferociously engaged with life in the world, just filled with curiosity and joy and questions and hope and possibility, and it was a gift to get to make space for her in this house and for us to keep on living those values out. And for all those joys and sorrows unspoken.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, all made holy, loved and true, loved and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary, sanctuary for you. Open my heart. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, to be a sanctuary, all made holy, all made holy, loved and true, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Open my heart to be a sanctuary, all made holy, loved and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Pilgrimage. Pilgrimage requires a willingness to be changed by the road that you travel. A pilgrim doesn't set out on a journey expecting everything to be the same in themselves when they're done. By 1964, Malcolm X, Malik el-Shabazz, had for a dozen years been a leader in the Nation of Islam, and his message in that ministry was the inversion of the world around him. The message was that blacks were superior to whites, and what was required was complete separation, not integration. That was the preaching of Malcolm X, and his message was by any means necessary. Where Dr. King preached nonviolence, Malcolm X saw that as hopelessly naive. A black man was not required to sacrifice his body and life so that someday maybe someone else would have equality, sort of. He was, even for the people who disagreed with him in his own community, he was an icon, an exemplar of black strength and dignity, who would never bend or break or compromise on the inherent worthiness and dignity, the full humanity of black people. Never avoid the impolite reality of racism and America and how those things go hand in hand. That also made him terrifying to most white people. But after one speech, a young white woman approached him, a college student, and she said, "What can I do to help? What can I do to bring black and white people together?" And without pausing, he said, "Nothing. Nothing." By 1964, after 12 years in the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X left. He left with plans to organize his own black nationalist group with the belief he no longer had a home in the Nation of Islam. And the following month after leaving, he made Hajj, the 10-day pilgrimage to Mecca, the pilgrimage which all Muslims are to make if they're healthy and able to afford it and can provide for their families while away. Hajj moves with the lunar calendar as the Islamic calendar does. It starts on Friday evening this year. Pilgrimage to Mecca is a return to the central axis around which the religious world of Islam turns. Mecca is the direction in which all Muslims pray. It's the holiest place. And he traveled, Malcolm X, first to Saudi Arabia, and in Mecca exchanged his suit for the simple pilgrim's garment made of 2 pieces of uncut cloth and sandals, the same as countless thousands of others. And he wrote home in that pilgrimage to speak of something he'd never imagined. He wrote to say that on Hajj, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Muslims prayed side by side with black Africans and Arabs and Indians and Indonesians and Europeans, and that experience woke up, transformed the possibility of unity. Unity for him in Islam, which was not a dream, but the lived reality that he saw all around him. He returned home transformed by pilgrimage, holding to a vision which was not superiority or separation, but dignity and strength in unity. It was perhaps a much more demanding call. It was perhaps a mission and a voice which led directly to his assassination. 2 days before he was murdered, he recalled that white college student, the young woman who had come to him to ask what she could do to help, who he told nothing. 2 days before his death, he said, "I have lived to regret that." In Arabic, the word hajj means to intend a journey. And that's both the outward act, but it's an inward act. It's a movement in the world, through the world, but it's an interior, it's a heart movement. A pilgrim isn't a tourist. A pilgrim intends a journey of transformation, not knowing what that will be. And we are pilgrim people. The poet David White writes a piece called Santiago about the end point of the Camino de Compostela, a pilgrimage route that stretches from the Pyrenees Mountains on the border of Spain and France westward across northern Spain, and ends at last in the town of Santiago de Compostela, 10 miles from the Atlantic. For 1,100 years, pilgrims have crossed Europe to visit the shrine there, now the cathedral, which legend tells hold the bones of the apostle St. James brought there after his death. The road, the Camino, winds through hills and countryside. Have any of you walked this? Yeah. Driven it? Walked it? It's rolling and green. It winds through places where bare dirt path hides behind the shoulders of hills and then emerges again. I haven't walked it, but I have friends who have. I've seen photos. It passes through foothills that used to look like mountains until I moved here. Crosses over stone bridges and wooden bridges and walks next to stone walls and highways, and along the way, wayside shrines and hostels and stone markers with the scallop shell symbol of the trail. Hikers speak in different languages to describe where it is they're going to and where they've come from. Hikers in sturdy boots and serious backpacks, water bottles and wide hats to keep the sun off. The poet describes it, the outward journey and the inward journey, at once. He writes this, Santiago. The road, seen and then not seen. The hillside, hiding and then revealing the way you should take. The road dropping away from you as if leaving you to walk on thin air and then catching you, holding you up when you thought you would fall. And the way forward, always in the end, the way forward, the way that you followed, the way that carried you into your future, that brought you to this place. No matter that it sometimes took your promise from you, no matter that it had to break your heart along the way. The sense of having walked from far inside yourself out into the revelation, to having risked yourself for something that seemed to stand both inside you and far beyond you, that called you back to the only road you could follow in the end. Walking as you did in your rags of love, and speaking in the voice that by night became a prayer for safe arrival, so that one day you realized that what you wanted had already happened long ago, and in the dwelling place you had lived before you began, and that every step along the way you had carried the heart and the mind and the promise that had first set you off and drew you on, and that you were more marvelous in your simple wish to find a way than the gilded roofs of any destination you could reach. As if all along you had thought the end point might be a city with golden towers and cheering crowds, and turning the corner at what you thought was the end, you found just a simple reflection and a clear revelation beneath the face looking back, and beneath it another invitation, all in one glimpse, like a person and a place you had sought forever, like a broad field of freedom that beckoned you beyond, like another life, and the road still stretching on. That's David White trying to show that, like the Hajj, this pilgrimage across Spain, any pilgrimage, every pilgrimage, is both something that you do with your body and something that you do with your spirit. It's something you do surrounded by a community of fellow travelers, and something you do profoundly on your own. People aren't wearing out their boots to see some bones at the end of a long walk. They're walking an interior road, a physical path symbolic of a lifelong journey. And we are too, maybe not as dramatically as a trip to Mecca or a trek across Spain, but we are a pilgrim people, headed out for new lands, willing to be changed by the road we walk, returning to our wardrobe of beliefs from time to time, saying, all right, what stays, what goes? What do I wear now? What brings me alive? The pilgrimage we make is personal. Each of us is on our own spiritual journey through life that is uniquely yours. And it's communal too. We gather, we listen, we question, we partake of common weal and common wisdom and common care. We're traveling people, each of us on a spiritual journey, mostly walking well-worn roads that we are discovering, and sometimes making the road by walking, and always with fellow travelers, though we speak many different languages about what it is that we're coming from and where it is we're going to. We use different words to describe this terrain: God, soul, spirit, universe, love, life itself, and nothing more. It looks like this. I think I've told some of you this story, but years and years ago, at a church I served in Minnesota, after an evening potluck, because that's the land of Wednesday night church potlucks. After we had put all the tables away and washed the dishes, I think the sign of a healthy church is that everyone helps put chairs and tables away. After we'd done all that and washed the dishes and turned out the lights in the social hall, I paused in this wide doorway to speak with an elder of the congregation. He told me after years, after decades of a fierce and angry, I think actually wounded, but a fierce and angry atheism, that no longer defined his spiritual life. I remember in the doorway, the lights were dim. This man in his 80s, a member of that church for decades, he told me this with a shake of his head, not in rejection, not because he had discovered the one right truth that was the whole thing now, but because he hadn't expected this to happen to him. That his whole spiritual life wouldn't be defined by a binary question, yes or no. That wouldn't be at the center for him. That's pilgrimage. The journey changed him. He had left the religion he grew up in and came into a Unitarian Universalist home thinking, oh, finally, I am done. I made it here. I arrived. The search is over. And there he was marveling, holding tenderly with wonder, surprised that in his last decade, like a gift, the road was still stretching on. The poet says of pilgrimage that all along you thought the end point might be a city with gold towers and cheering crowds, and turning the corner at what you thought was the end of the road, you found just a simple reflection and a clear revelation beneath the face looking back, and beneath it another invitation, all in one glimpse, like another life, and the road still stretching on. I'm reading these words of David Whyte's poetry. I'm telling you tidy stories of pilgrimage in a world that feels like it is falling apart day by day. And when I pause and take a breath, I remember that climate catastrophe is not in the future, it's in the present and the past now, and the future too. We're in the middle of that. I read headlines every week that remind me broad swaths of my country love a mythical past where we were in charge and they knew their place. I'm reminded over and over again that the sort of inevitable progress that was most of my life to secure new rights steadily is a myth. And those go backwards too. And what I feel by all of this deluge, daily, constantly, is outrage and exhaustion, also tiredness and numbness. And every headline is just one more damn thing in a long line of damn things. With plenty more ahead. There's disgust. And I'll say too, as much as I do believe, like Theodore Parker says a century and a half ago, that the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, Theodore Parker does not give any time frame for this. Theodore Parker is actually, in the original, much less clearly optimistic. He says, my eye can only see a little bit of this movement towards justice. He says, from what I can tell, it's bending towards justice. But someday is a very long time. And it's that numbness, that tiredness, that hardening of the heart that comes from living in the actual world, which needs Santiago, which needs pilgrimage. We tend to the inner life, not in order to anesthetize ourselves to reality, but in order to live in the world, to help to heal it. And we come into this house to sing together and pray together and learn and tell stories and drink coffee and invest ourselves into each other's lives as one community. Because to live in the world, actually paying attention to what's happening, and to keep our hearts rooted in our deepest values of love and justice, that's hard work. It is lifelong and life-shaping work. We're here to change ourselves and to change the world, and we don't know where that road will lead or the outcome for ourselves, for the world, but we have a faithfulness to the journey. something that seemed to stand both inside you and far beyond you, the poet says, that called you back to the only road that in the end you could follow, walking as you did in your rags of love, and speaking in the voice that by night became a prayer for safe arrival. We don't know where that's going to end up, not for any of us. But we have a faithfulness to the journey from this house through the world. And when Malcolm X made his pilgrimage, he journeyed from separation to unity. It wasn't what he expected to make on Hajj. Pilgrimage requires the sure knowledge that we'll be changed by the road we follow. And we are pilgrim people. Here we are traveling together, speaking different languages, ready for the road to change us, to open our hearts and light our minds and set our hands to work for justice in the world. From this house to the world, we go hand in hand. Let's sing it. We rise in body or in spirit.
The moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, and we are the benders. If you feel comfortable joining hands with those around you, this is a beautiful moment for that. If you'd rather not make contact, you can just put a hand on your chest or leave them down at your sides. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. Last time. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. From this house to the world, we will go hand in hand. Last time. From this house